New dad behind the scenes.
Right.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
All
go.
right. Let's show them how it's done.
That's right.
4. Damn it!
You missed it. That's
We'll
it.
try. We'll get it next week.
Yeah.
All right.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Each week, we try to show that just because you became a dad,
Does not mean it's game over.
and man, oh man, was an experiment run last week.
It's not game over.
I just woke up from our marathon podcast last week.
Yeah.
The reaction, Jeff and I, we're both, everybody thank you, is basically the way to say it. Like, we're kind of blown away. We tend to keep a tight 30. But we got a lot of messages. We got a lot of shout outs, like emails. It was fantastic. And the number of people actually said I got to the end was a lot more than we would have expected.
Yeah.
So it's a very heartwarming week. You know, we're here every week. Get to hear from so many dads, but a particular outpouring like that, it's just unbelievably heartwarming, where, you know, it really helps us feel great on the other side of the microphone.
Yeah, because that was one thing where we tripled our runtime, and we weren't sure how that was going to go over. But we had a good time doing it. We're glad that, you know, we heard from people that had a good time listening. So, you know, maybe that's the new format. We'll see how gaming time works.
So I will say, and continue to reach out, guys. Thank you very much. NewDadGaming.com, at NewDadGaming, NewDadGaming Podcast on Twitch. Find us anywhere on there and send us your messages. Are we doing well? Do you prefer this topic? Do you have a shout out you'd like to do? Do you have an idea? Anything of the above, we absolutely love to get these and hear it. I think we are going to start experimenting with slightly longer podcasts and see if we can kind of ramp up to a consistent long one. We don't want to just stretch it out for the purpose of hitting like an hour or two. But if we can get it a bit longer, it seems like it played fairly well. Again, like, do let us know. Now, we had mentioned at the end of the marathon one, hey, if you get to the end, send us a note and we'll do a couple shout outs. And I wanted to call out a couple in particular. First one is we got a fantastic email from Dead Pet 7. And permit me a moment, I'd like to read this out one here. Hey guys, new listener from the UK. I have a 24-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 14-year-old. That sounds like amazing ages. I can't wait
Yeah.
to experience
Different
that
phase.
one. Love to hear those gaming stories. So I guess I'm more of an old dad gamer. A few years ago, I was gifted a copy of American Truck Simulator. Being relatively new to PC gaming and not having many games, I gave it a try and absolutely loved it. Me being a fan of Elite Dangerous, I get the trucking type of angle.
Yeah, you do.
So I think that would almost be my jam. I digress. So much so, in fact, about 100 gaming hours later, I decided to have a truck driving lesson in real life. Long story short, last year I passed my Class 1 test, and in October 2023, I got my first job as an actual truck driver. Man, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I drive 5 days a week and start work at 3 a.m. Every day I load my trailer, then drive north for 2 hours before unloading and reloading. Then I drive south for 2 hours back to base to unload again. I listened to the whole show because it was like having two mates in the cab with me telling me about a show that I'd missed. I enjoyed it immensely. You made my shift absolutely fly by, and I thank you for that. And I am borderline like teary-eyed. Like that is so heartwarming. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's such a good message. And again, it just, I don't know, it makes me feel really good about what we do here. And like, we were just having a casual conversation, and, you know, the fact that somebody can tune in and listen to us and, you know, email us about their thoughts and feelings. That's great. And it's awesome to hear from, you know, any of our audience out there. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I recently discovered your podcast and I've been enjoying it greatly for the last couple of months. Because of my job, I listen to a variety of podcasts on a number of subjects. Your informal yet informative style is a welcome alternative to some others I listen to, which can on occasion be too sterile and rigid or just the opposite, complete chaos. We're just the right amount of chaos. Just
I think so. I think that's a good yes. Keep it lively.
You offer friendly and honest advice to new dads and the original fantastic idea. I wish you every success with your show. Long may it continue. Keep up the great work. Dead Pet 7. Dear sir, if you are listening to us on the road, cannot thank you enough for the amazing email. That's definitely like warmed our hearts. That is awesome to hear. What a message to receive. Now, to continue along, we got a few other messages we did want to call out. So Cypher Zero, who good friend from Twitch, who joins me often to laugh at my misplays playing Marvel Snap. So one of our favorite supporters of that end. Hi, gents. Love the MegaCast, and it's definitely a fun way to breeze through a ton of new releases and hear how many Fable-style games are getting released. Right? Everything except Fable. Everything except Fable.
So we took away from that. Yep.
That alone could be an hour-long podcast. I digress. I can't think of a witty sentence for you both to read, but just wanted to say that the pod is a delight to listen to and prepared me for gaming as a new dad, encourages me to keep plugging away, even if it's 20 minutes a session. I'll say that I just remembered that the other day. Like my own damn advice about just play the game.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I'd recently picked up Aldi World, which was on sale on Steam. I had like a 10-minute session. It was an absolute blast. It was amazing. Had a different session. NHL 17 had a game. It's great. Got back into, did a one quest of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you're still there. Yep, perfect. Perfect.
Jeff, I'm going to be there for a year, man.
Well, you're chipping away. Again, everybody that's listened, I chipped away at Witcher 3. This is just your Witcher 3. That's all it is.
Yeah. 20 minutes at a time, and you play the damn game. Have fun. So, hey, Cypher, thanks so much, and really appreciate seeing you on Twitch whenever we show up, whenever I do manage to show up. So from Timothy, we have New Dad Gaming. I made it through the whole thing. Believe it or not, the podcast was more Fable than Fable. It just whimsy.
I really think that should go on, like, if we have a slogan, that is it. Just more Fable than Fable.
And that was a sentiment that was replicated from a good friend of the show, Luke, so at Luke Beak, who says, just finished last week's episode and happily made it to the chaotic end. Enjoyed the longer pod. Thanks, guys. This pod was more like Fable than Fable is. A loose main story with a few wild side quests that lead to chaos. Some good laughs, but no fart button. Yeah, at least that you guys can hear. We do have mute buttons on our microphones. And then you had to respond to, hey, thanks for the 90 minutes. We'll look to have the button. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure I left a few families behind demon doors in Fable 1 that I should probably go check on. I've been a terrible dad to them, but maybe not by Albion standards. My favorite mission, you didn't play much Fable, did you?
I did not. So I am really interested in the mechanic where you can lock away families.
Oh, there's a worse one. Let me tell you. Let me spin you a yarn about Fable. That's one that now, especially as a dad, it's kind of hard to. I don't know if I'd have the stomach to do it.
All right. Well, okay. This is getting dark.
It ain't nice.
Okay.
So I tend to be a very good character, right? I always try almost like 100% just like angelic style, right?
Okay.
But throughout the world of Fable, and especially in Fable 2, which where my stronger memory is, there are, as mentioned by Luke, demon doors. So these are doors, and you stand in front, and they want you to perform something. And if you do it, they'll open. Now, sometimes it'll be as simple as you can unlock, like for instance, like a chicken dance.
Okay.
And the demon door in prose will say, I want to see a poultry prance, give to me a chicken dance. Whatever. And then you just have to do the emote, and then he opens, and you get it. One of the demon doors in Fable 2 says that I don't just want and I'm paraphrasing, but it gets the point of it. I don't want to just see sacrifice. I want to see the most painful, hurtful sacrifice that you could imagine.
Wow. Okay.
So what it has you do is you have to go into a town. You have to get married. You have to make somebody fall in love with you. You have to get married. Happily married. You have to have them become a happy wife. You then need to bring this person in front of the demon door and sacrifice them so that he can give you some treasure. So it's not just murder. It's that you have to gull somebody along to to fall in love with you, marry you, and then you lead them by the hand. Because remember, in Fable 2, there is a hold hand mechanic,
Right.
where to get somebody to follow you, you can press your trigger button and hold their hand, and you lead them down in front of the door and murder them.
So I'm just trying to process this.
So you can just see the gears turning. It's like, that's a lot.
That's a lot, like a lot of commitment. And do you think that a particular like side quest, I guess we call it, do you think it was supposed to be like never winnable? Like, you know what I mean? Like they set up this scenario, like you're gonna have to woo this person, you get married, you probably spend an hour in game with them. I don't know. Like it seems like a long.
I don't think it's that long to make someone fall in love with you.
But like a fair amount of
still.
time, you get to know them, their name, and then you're like, okay, now you're leading them to this door, which you understand that they're gonna be sacrificed, right? Like at that point, like that's the next step. Maybe you were supposed to back away, and you're like, no, I can't do this. This is crazy.
They got a notification. It's like, guys, somebody actually did it. I can't believe. Oh my god, this person's terrible.
Please, we need to go in and patch this out. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm showing it on screen. You do actions, so you can like dance and prance. And Fable, like I swear to God, everybody should just play a bit of Fable, especially Fable 2. I think is like the sweet spot, right? Where you can make everybody nearby you adore you more by doing actions that they love. Some people love dances, some people like crude jokes, some people don't. And you can actually find what people like or don't like. But eventually, you can get that so high that they fall in love with you, and then you can give them gifts, and eventually. If you give them a ring, you'll get married. Okay, so what we're watching on screen is somebody is currently like convincing someone to marry them. Okay, so there's a cutscene of like your marriage.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. This is worse than I remember.
I mean, this seems like a lot.
It's like, so what we're watching on screen now is that in Fable there was a marriage. So but what I thought was probably just a little checkbox, like, hey, congrats, you got married. It's an entire cutscene of paper cutouts, everybody looking happy and wonderful. So now the person's married. Okay, now they're making love. Oh no, this is okay. I didn't say this part of the story because I wasn't sure this was true. But they've made a baby, so now you have a wife and a child. Yeah, this got worse. I'm not even comfortable.
This has got so much worse. You probably suppressed that part. You're like, "There's no way I can't live with this." As I was saying it out loud, part of the story, I'm like, I don't think they went that far. There's no way they went that far. So the quest is called. It gets called up here in a second. What? When you win, quote unquote win?
Yeah, if you call that winning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's called Sacrifice to the Shadows. Make a truly evil sacrifice at the hour of mystical midnight.
Okay. So I know this is a long process and there's a lot of twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. What do you get treasure out of it? Like, is it like game breaking treasure?
Oh my
like,
goodness.
Is it
Look
like
at this. So what you do is you bring them down to a pit and then you throw a lever to sacrifice them.
Okay. There are things in Witcher that are like pretty gruesome, but there's never been so much.
There's nothing so callous and just evil.
But like you have a hand in it, right? Like it's not like you press the button and like this person drops an acid or something. Like you are having kids with them and dragging them into this pit.
Yeah, so read the. So on screen I've just run Jeff the animation of how you bring the person to the pit and it all happens.
Oh my God, you lose your kid. What are you doing?
Yeah, read the line that Fable throws up after you've committed this heinous act.
Following the death of your husband, a child protection agency has taken custody of your son. Continue.
Big green happy A.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and you get evil points. It's just like...
Did you have to look up a guide to do this? Or is it like pretty straightforward in
I think I can't quite recall, honestly. I think in the quest itself you can kind of like grok it, or there might even be some like explanations of exactly what has to happen, but it's
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean, this podcast is not more Fable than Fable in this way.
And it shouldn't be by any means.
But wow, okay, let's...
Yeah, I recall, like looking back on it now, as far as being Fable, that particular quest as a dad as being happily married, and the thought of like doing it for points, and it's just a game. It's little bits on a screen. It's still kind of hard to. I'll be honest, like I'm so traumatized now. I forgot why I even brought up the subject. Why are we talking about?
I mean, everybody, was relating us to the more fable than fable, and I guess this is just it's deep-seated trauma that you just
it was
went
Luke
back to.
I remember it was Luke. He said, "I'm pretty sure I left a few families behind demon doors."
Well, okay,
and he had mentioned that in Fable 1. So it looks like it's a third. I wonder if the new Fable will have family sacrifice for all of us new gaming dads, and if any of us can go through with it. I hope.
Report back. We'll have a poll.
This will be great. Everybody go. But I digress. Hey, so let's bring them all out again. So to DeadPet7, thank you for the email. To CypherX0, thank you so much for the amazing message, and also the joining me on Twitch. To Tim, the great message, and Luke Beck sharing in my awful Fable habits. It's been a blast. Let's get into the rest of the show. Now, the end of the season is coming, the end of the school year, the ripe time, the most contentious time of year for the kids comes. Where, congratulations, you're out of school. You've earned your freedom. This is fantastic. And the pull of the video games. I'm going to just stay inside all day. I don't have to go outside. I don't have to go to school. This is great. But it's also the most beautiful, wonderful weather outside you can imagine. And the parents need you to get the hell out of the house.
Yeah.
So the time of great conflict and great weather is upon us.
Yeah, this is going to be, the start of something new for the summer.
Now, how have you, and I'm sure we've covered in some other years, but as we approach this one, was there a game plan for, all right, it's going to be...
Is there a game plan, Trevor? I don't know. I'd like to think there is, but I think everybody starts out with a game plan, I want to say, how to treat summer and game time, and then it kind of degrades over time, at least in this family.
I imagine it's the same. I think it kind of depends on the day, because at some point, our general rule here, and I'd love to hear from gaming dads if you have a approach to the summer, a game plan we can share with everybody. Our general thought is no games before 8, which we came up with because what we found is that when, morning is kind of your game time, the kids are waking up at like 5 in the morning.
Oh, God. Okay, that's a fair...
They got wise to it. So it's like, I don't care how early you wake up, you cannot touch these systems until 8. Because ideally, you'll sleep until at least 8.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that one started. And we generally are coming around to the idea we want you off by noon.
Okay.
So that is not to mention there's kind of a breakfast period in there, but that is a good... I mean, my problem there is that's usually a weekend thing. So they survive the week. They've ideally done their homework. Everything's kind of on the up and up. So for the weekend, all right, relax and wind a bit. It makes sense. But now, even saying it out loud, that is a 4-hour gaming period every day, which is a bit more difficult. It almost feels like I might need a dub. I had ideally like that to bring that down to a 3. I don't know how long that lasts.
Yeah, I don't know. Realistically, it sounds like 4 hours is a long time, but I don't know. My kids do way more than that per day. I'm gonna be honest. They are gonna do that way more during the summer, and it doesn't help that both my kids are online with their friends. I'm not sure about yours, but they're constantly online. So if their friends are online, they're online. If their friends are outside, though, they're outside. So that could be the sway, but more often than not, they are online playing their game. And, to me, it's like, they're getting screen time, but they're also socializing in a way. Like, it's not like stuck in front of a screen by yourself.
Yeah.
But even that, as a kid myself, that's how I finished Final Fantasy. That was just it.
So that's kind of the thing. So my slight challenges right now with their ages, so 6 and 9, one will be 7 soon enough, right? it's kind of on the younger side. I do think about myself in the 12 range, like the first time I was powering through Final Fantasy, or be it. And I'm not sure when I received 9, like the dates. I don't know if I was like 14 or 15, whatever. Anyways, like I can remember those marathon sessions, and I still fondly remember those. So I don't necessarily want to take that away from them. I think my challenge is though the age, because I wasn't quite that young, where it almost feels like they're still developing a bit more, and you just want to kind of kibosh a little bit further. And especially with yours, I think you make a good argument that it's like, hey, it's like, no, you need to get off, go play with your friends. My friends they're all online. Like that's what they're currently doing. Like that's where the friends are. Is they're in this game, right?
Yeah, it's hard because then we've done that before where we force them outside, but they're literally like just circling the one tree we have in our front yard because all their friends are online and they're like, we have nothing else to do. And that is like their sob story, their puppy dog eyes to us, and we just like let them, all right, figure it out. But I do go back to that. We're like, your friends are online. You're online. Yes, you need to take breaks. Absolutely. Yes, you need to feed yourself. Like you need to make breaks for everything. And if it is a nice day, then, you make plans for your friends and then you can do other things. And now, even with my kids at 11 and 13, you could go do more things. You can go get a slushie. I will give you $5.
Yeah.
Slushies are probably more than that. But go down and like... That's your thing. You can go to the convenience store with your friends and you get the walk-in. You don't even know you're getting the walk-in. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is more of a sway now, whereas before in your age range, you couldn't quite do that. Like you could probably send them to the park, but the park gets pretty boring after the entire summer. But
yeah, I don't know. I tend to be a proponent of boredom. I do like how it pulls out some creativity. So it's like, I'm bored. It's like, great. Excellent.
Yeah, figure it out.
Let's see what you come up with. Like, kid, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So
it's not destructive.
It's a difficult pull. There's going to be some just embarrassing days. There's going to be some days where they're on it from 8 until 5 because like we have company over and there's like, we're pouring a new sidewalk and I got to be on it all day and no one else. It's just, I need you gone. So we're making a devil's bargain where it's like, I don't want you to play this much games, but I can't have you outside. So just, fine, I need to get this job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our whole kind of theme on this show is to not feel necessarily bad about it or judge, just like share your experiences. So if that works out for you, or there's something that goes bad, maybe your kids become jerks because they've been on video games all the time. I know mine do sometimes, and that's when we reel it back, right? So it's like one of those learned experiences. That's
the important part. If your kid is like hitting the marks that you expect in school, if they are sociable, like they have friends, like, and everything else is balanced, and they occasionally have some like big wicked days of games, awesome. Then everything's great. It's a happy part of your life. If it's instead like, okay, your grades are suffering, you're being antisocial,
right?
We're seeing the effects, so now we're gonna reel that in and be smart about it. So yeah, it's not so much about like, oh, you let your kid play for 5 hours, you're terrible.
Yeah.
Nah, definitely not.
No.
So, anyway, hey, gaming dads out there, if you have any particular tips for summer, if you have some strategies, hopes, concerns coming up, reach out to us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Jeff, you broke the golden rule. Jeff, you blew it.
I do. I broke it twice this year. I pre-ordered 2 things.
You're talking to the guy who ordered Diablo, so what am I supposed to...
That's true.
What high horse do I have? And this one, at least... if there was ever a borderline sure bet in gaming, this might just be it. Why don't you inform the good folks how you, the reason why you broke our golden rule of no pre-orders?
So I had a great experience with Elden Ring. It took a lot of time and effort, but that work paid off, and I got it's all about
work and
dedication. Exactly, right? You talk to your kids, you talk to yourself, you put that into you. Like, I can do this. I am better. I know who I am.
I am the Elden Ring, damn it.
That's right.
Isn't that how it works? I never beat it.
Yeah, that was basically it. I think one of the endings, at least. So this was a game that I did adore. My kids did come along for the ride a little bit, and I think I've talked about that on the show, where they like figure out different weapons and different strats on how to beat a boss or cheese a boss or whatever. So it was a fun time for me, fun bonding time with my kids, with something that's a little bit more mature. And so they have a DLC coming out, Shadow of the Erd Tree, that drops this Friday. So when this recording goes out, I think around that time, I will be in the DLC that was a little bit pricey, but from what I hear, it is insanely big. Actually, it was one lie that the developers told, where it was like, oh, it's about the size of this part in Elden Ring Limgrave, right? And I think they actually lied and said the game itself is bigger. It's just like more vertical. So it's like, yeah, it's the size of Limgrave, but it's 3 Limgraves stacked on top of each other. So I am looking forward to getting lost in this again.
That is the absolute reverse lie that happens in the industry, where it's like, oh, it's pretty big, and then ends up being like half the size.
Like way more.
It's like, haha, suckers, you get more game than you expected.
Yeah, good luck with this one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I am pumped. I am ready to go. I actually jumped back in just with a new character, and I'm like, whoa, I'm rusty. This is not like riding a bike. I have to get that eye-hand coordination back a little bit and the twitchiness that comes with it, but I will be seeing everybody on the other side after Friday, so I will report back, see if my kids are interested. They said they are, but it's like one of those, end of school year, everybody's kind of excited for just that. I don't know if they're going to join Dad on his trip down into the Shadow of the Erd Tree and find out what's down there. But I will let everybody know how that goes over and what they've looked up and what spoilers they know of that hopefully they don't tell Dad. We'll see.
Just bring it all up.
Yeah.
God, this game is just so... It is hard to comprehend how dense, like, the lore and the visuals and the levels are. Like, it just feels... Even when I was playing, like, it felt impossible, the depth of it.
It really does. And when I jump back in, the visual, like the graphics themselves could be like, there's better graphics out there, but the visual style of this game and how it all works together, I was blown away again jumping back in. Like there's this beautiful blue sky and like gold like droplets over it with a half moon and a castle in the background. I'm like, these are paintings. You're playing in paintings. And I think that's, as an artist and a designer for my day job and a podcaster by my evening job, it merges so well, and I just love being in this world. So yeah, it is chaotic and very difficult, but I do love being in it, so I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll say, even just watching this, like I have a pull to get back into it, because I really did enjoy it. It's not my jam, this type of difficulty. However, it was just so magical to be going through this world. So looking at it, it kind of makes me want to get through Horizon Zero Dawn, which the audience voted on, and that will be the next game I beat. But I almost want to, so I can get back to this one and kind of finish up with the world. I'm not sure. I think the DLC would probably be more of a bargain play for myself, like wait a couple years, let it like half price type of thing.
Yeah, I would, and you do have to make it almost like halfway through the game to be able to get into this DLC. Like you have to beat a certain boss to get into this.
So that's like, that is pretty. That is very classically Dark Souls.
Yeah,
sense that, like,
you have to
you're
meet
not even
requirements.
allowed to play this until like you get far enough. So if I just go to the street, so what's going to happen is if this theoretically was on a disc, grandmas would definitely be buying Shadow of the Erd Tree to some kid who's never played Elden Ring.
Nope.
It's like, Grandma, I can't play this.
No, you can't play this, kids. Sorry. You gotta wait until your birthday to get the original game, I guess. I don't know.
The little grandma looks at us like, well, just get good, sonny. Like, shut up, Grandma.
Yeah. How dare you say that? Why does it say it in the card too? Oh no.
Yeah. No. It. Yeah. Just
it's
so
intense,
stunning.
man.
Like
It doesn't pull its punches. It knows what it is, and yeah, if you want in, there's a price to pay. So it's almost like work, but it's not.
Yeah. Now, when does it come out?
This Friday, so June 21st, I think so.
Jeez, so you're T minus. What are you doing here? You need to go be practicing.
I know. I have the ticker. I have the countdown clock. Like it's gonna install. It's gonna go.
That's amazing.
So,
are you gonna change your clock back to, or change your clock to New Zealand time just so you can sneak in the night earlier?
I really should.
That's the
again,
move.
I'm not excited, but that's one of the things where I wake the kids up from a dead sleep. Like, guess what?
Get up! It's summertime. Let's go.
Dad hacked the system. I'm in New Zealand. Let's go.
I need your strats.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Gaming dads out there, if you are planning to jump into that DLC with Jeff, reach out to us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Speaking of money, Nintendo is ready to get some more of yours there, Jeff. They are just playing you like a fiddle.
They really are. I think Nintendo listens to the show and just takes notes. So
so Nintendo Direct just happened. Big series of like game. I suggest we're not going to do another hour review unless we get enough votes, perhaps. But no intention to review every game. But one of the standouts for sure for you, Jeff, would be Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, this is one that I talked in the show. I wasn't into the Prime series because I didn't have a GameCube. Missed out on that, and I thank you as well. So it's one of those things where I wasn't sure on a first-person shooter with Samus. I'm used to the 2D Super Metroid. That's my jam. Metrovania, obviously, like spawned out of that with Castlevania, but the first-person shooter like threw me for a loop. But I love Metroid Prime Remastered when they dropped that. I want to say a year ago. Loved it, beat it, ate it up, wanted more, and then I see Metroid Prime 4 being announced in that same just, again, modern take. Graphics look amazing for the Switch. I don't know how they achieve some of these things, and it will play like a dream, I'm sure, because, again, Metroid Prime Remastered, they'll just learn from all their little tweaks that they can do there. And this thing was announced a while ago, Trevor. We have not seen this in like 5 years, and all of a sudden they come out and they're like,
"Oh my
here's
God.
Gameplay, and it's next year, so you're good.
Get ready.
Save your money, save your allowance." So I am ready. I love Samus. I love the world of Metroid. I love even hearing the music. They keep some of those beats and just upgrade them, much like I love Final Fantasy and just like the remake of it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm all in on this. I am wondering though, 2025 is like the Switch 2 is coming out sometime. So is this like one of those cross-gen things, and should I wait? Because this could be like a cross-gen launch title. Like, not maybe launch, but like shortly thereafter they would be like, if you want the better graphics there, kid, get a Switch 2. I don't know. So
better graphics, I don't know that.
Or frame rate or something, right? Like,
yeah, graphics I feel like they're going to do right, because it'd be a heck of a bait and switch and not something that Nintendo is known for, and especially like their first party titles. So I would tend to think that maybe it is a launch title, but just slightly better graphics, but not as in, you go from ultra or like extra to ultra on a PC type of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Man, that is a fascinating take, because what does that mean for the Switch 2? Because there was nothing announced. People tended to be a bit assertive that, like, no, this is it. They're going to announce the Switch 2. It's coming. And nary a whisper that is coming around. Now, if they do, generally speaking, with a new console, like, these folks do try to hit Christmas. Right?
Yes, they do.
But would there be any reason for them not to have already hyped up this Switch 2 if it was going to be ready for Christmas?
Yeah, no, they have. I think they've gone on record saying it's not this year, but it will be this fiscal year, which I guess runs into March. And I don't know if that's been backtracked on or whatever. So I don't think this year at all. But that's not to say that it won't sell like hotcakes, like whenever it comes out. Because I think I have a launch Switch, or very close to a launch Switch, and looking at Metroid Prime 4 running on this thing, I'm like, it's going to explode. It's going to just heat and melt through the whole docking station into a puddle. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating. Would you buy a Switch 2? Like, would you go for the upgrade?
I am on the fence now that you really say it, because like I didn't really. So the Switch is kind of like, not a love-hate, but I will put it down and not touch it for maybe a couple months. And then once I pick up a game like Metroid Prime Remastered or some other one that I'm really into, like Boomerang Fu, I will play it constantly for another couple months, and then it'll go dormant again. And now I have my Steam Deck. So I would go for the Nintendo-specific games if they're going to go that direction, and there's an advantage to the Switch too. And I think it also depends on price point, to be honest.
Yeah,
Are
if it's another $700 system, it's going to be a little bit hard to swallow.
Yeah, I don't know where Nintendo stands on that because they tend to be like not cheaper, but like they stay at the same price forever. So there's never really a good sale on it. I think even the Switch now is still selling for $3.99 in Canada.
Yeah.
So they don't really move on price. So whatever they set it at, it's usually around that area because they want kids to get it and they want adults to get it too.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's like a secondary system to everybody's kind of main thing, I think. So
Yeah. I think what I'm more surprised about is every time I touch my Switch, it's the thought of why don't I play this more? Like this thing
Right?
is fantastic. The Zelda title, Mario RPG, Mario Wonder, like all these games are just stunning and like fantastic. And especially what it really is the kid / cousin / like get together system.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing plays like Mario Kart when you got a group over, right?
Yeah,
But-
it's a whole different vibe when you pick up the Switch. I think it's just like fun, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just I'm here for a good playthrough, and this is gonna give me that.
Yeah, it still hits it.
Stress.
I'll say like the pricing can be challenging because the games are just priced like full price and
yeah.
they never go down.
No,
But
yeah,
we often get asked like, what system should I get for my kids? And it's just like the no thought answer is basically, it's get a Switch.
yeah,
Get a Switch and some Mario titles. Like they'll absolutely love it. It's going to be amazing, and it can play
Yeah.
some of the other fun stuff like Rocket League and anything else. So get in and get on to it. Anyway, Prime 4, absolutely fantastic. Another title, I wasn't sure what your thought was going to be on it, was the Marvel vs. Capcom Collection.
yes,
Because now some of these, like I think Marvel vs. Capcom 3, might have been 2 or 3, and maybe it was like 2,
yeah,
was just like an absolute stunning hit. Like one of those kind of sleeper hits that everybody has this huge adoration for, and especially remember kind of on the PlayStation.
yes.
Like what was kind of your takeaway from your hit from this? Because I think you'd mentioned you might have a copy.
I do. I have a PS2 copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that
Jeez.
is just not available anywhere. So anybody that's tried to hunt down that game, they will see the prices of that game. It's just been locked to the PS2 and other arcade systems forever. And so I think that copy itself is worth a couple $100, even more so if it's obviously in box and not open. But it's good to see that they somehow revived it and shoved it into a collection with many other games that, again, you couldn't find. And it just seems like a licensing nightmare. And somehow they figured it out. Because, like, Marvel itself, just being owned by Disney now, seems like a whole different ballgame. They're like, no. Like, no, we're not going to release any of those rights. And then Capcom itself, altogether, just seems like the stars aligned and they allowed this to happen. And I don't know the price of they didn't mention any of the price of the collection itself, but for anybody that experienced those games and wants to play it, and I believe there's even online component to this, like, that is awesome for fighting aficionados that want this kind of game in their life again. So I'm all for it. It looks great. Again, I think it'll depend on my need to experience this again and the price point. Like, I'd have to weigh that, but I'm happy for anybody else that kind of looked at this and like, oh my god, thank you. I don't want to go out and buy a PS2, buy a copy of it, and then be out $600-$700.
Yeah, I'd imagine, especially with the new, it becomes a no-brainer if you've been looking for it for a while and you adore these titles. These look like fantastic remasters. They're probably going to run great. Optimize the online piece alone.
Yeah.
The thought that you can get online matches, you can get leaderboards, things like that. Just fantastic. Like it seems like such a It feels like if it's not silly price, like something, it's $150 for the game.
Right, yeah.
Something nonsense like that. If it's just the usual straight copy, this could be a fighting aficionado's game, their jam from here on out. It's like I got everything I need. It's every good game that I've ever loved right here.
Yeah, and again, like if you have kids that are into Marvel or even Street Fighter, there's so many characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so you can have multiple kids select the character that they want, and no one's fighting over the character because there's so many. And anybody can choose anything, and you can swap each other out. And I think that you can even play on the same team if they keep some of that going. So I'm looking forward to picking this up and even playing with my kids because they know most of these characters. They might not know all the Street Fighter characters because they haven't really played through that, but definitely the Marvel side. So
Well, the good news is I seem to recall some of it being pretty button mash friendly.
Yes. Oh,
Like
for
you
sure.
just slamming that controller and stuff is just happening. It's like
Chaotic. Yeah, lights everywhere. The whole screen is like lighting up. Like, yeah, no, it can be pretty intense, and I think kids just love that kind of chaos that happens mashing buttons. So
we don't want to be too tight. The only thing to mention from that system, and if anything, it's just kind of interesting. From game itself looks great, and I think they've done really great by all the Zelda and Link titles recently.
yeah,
But the newest one has done what has long been called for ages. Every single time there's a new Zelda game, it's immediately asked, why isn't Zelda the protagonist?
yeah,
And Jeff, they done did it.
they finally did it. I mean,
like
it's
2024.
Yeah.
Zelda is finally the marquee, the playable character.
Yeah, and in a pretty cool way. So this is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I think is what this version is called. Anyway, everyone thought this was a remake of Link's Awakening, I think, or Link to the Past, sorry. And then it went into the Zelda format, and Zelda is the protagonist. You control Zelda with cool powers. It's like she's got like this copy and paste mechanic, so anything that she encounters goes
cool.
into a system, and then you solve the puzzles with the things that you've discovered, including any enemies you've encountered that you can kind of magically conjure up, and they fight for you. So there's all these like puzzle mechanics, and like you're like kind of almost like a god controlling things in the world to get around in the world. So they flip Zelda kind of on its head. Like, you're now Zelda, and then here's a whole new mechanic. We're not going to actually take that's what I love about Nintendo. There's they reinvent everything. So it's like, we're going to try this out. We're sure it's going to work. And usually you look at it and you're like, I'm not so sure. And then you finish the trailer. You're like, I'm game. This is good. Let's go.
Let's go.
You did a great job.
I love that.
So,
no notes. I love everything you've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pre-ordered.
Yeah. It might be one of the ones for the game vouchers or whatever Nintendo has. So yeah, no, this looks like a good pickup, especially like my kids are really into just playing new things, and even just playing female protagonists and getting them used to like, hey, you know, Link's not really saving Zelda. Link's off doing side quests and building things before saving Zelda. So this is a interesting flip on it.
Yeah, I do like that they continue to play around with the visual style. So this is aping the, what was it? This is the one from the Game Boy remake, correct?
Yeah, so Link's Awakening is what I was originally thinking, but that's what they remade it into, this like 2.5 3D thing, like an isometric kind of view. It almost looks like a clay diorama you're going around. So it's very, very neat, very like, again, cutesy, cozy kind of feeling to it. So I do enjoy it. It does put the Switch through the paces, though, I will say. So if you want to hear the Switch fan go off, this is the Link's Awakening is one to do it, and I'm sure this is probably no different. So
okay, now I had not watched the trailer in full, I have to admit, and now that I'm seeing some of this stuff, you really breezed over that copy and paste thing.
Okay, but like
you did not do it justice. Because folks, what Jeff, all right, so what Zelda is doing is she has a magic rod, and anything, near everything, including enemies, rocks, hazards, like gelatinous cubes, you can just copy and paste ad nauseum. And what I want you, within the trailer, what they showed was that there was a castle Zelda was trying to get onto, so she duplicated a bed 6 times on top of each other to be able to scale the walls. This is basically aping the 3D mechanics, or like the 3DS mechanics from that, or the Game Boy mechanics from the Link title, and then adding onto it the Tears of the Kingdom madness nonsense of building machines and throwing rocks across the world. This is going to be utter chaos. Can you imagine what people are going to come up with their silly duplications?
I am ready for it. I loved the Breath of the Wild, just like all of the and Tears of the Kingdom and everything that was constructed out of people's brains. And in this one, I don't know how they code it or how they design the game. And like, wait, if somebody were to go back and duplicate this bed 6 times, they get into this area that they're not supposed to, and the game's over. Like, I don't know what people are going to figure out. But again, I'm here for it. I love those things. There's going to be lots of videos of this one for sure. And I'm looking forward to what my kids are going to do with it, because you give them these tools. A kid's brain is very different from our brains, where we're like, oh, logic and reality. They're like, nope, I'm throwing this spider on this bed and making a trampoline out of it and swinging from the sky. I don't know. Like,
what's this? 6 zombies in a dress? Hey, they like it. Look at this. Now they're dancing and they've unlocked a secret area. You're like, what are you talking about? What is any of these things?
This is exactly it. Again, I'm looking forward to it. I wonder if how far this game allows you to take it. So I'm sure my kids will push that limit, and others out there will push that limit. So
that's so fun. Oh man, this is gonna be This is gonna be a fantastic title. That is so cool.
And it's soon. I think it's in August or September, the launch.
Nice.
So it's pretty soon, over summer. But
coming to a Twitch streamer near you.
That's right. Yeah.
So what do we? We'll start going towards the end here of the show. I did want to cover a few more last things. Big thank you to fan of the show, DJ Ronnie, friend of the show, DJ Ronnie B, who hooked up Jeff with a code for Valorant on his PlayStation. So how good are you at first-person shooters, Jeff? How's competitive first-person shooters going for you?
I want to apologize.
Firstly, I want to say...
First, I want to say sorry, DJ Ronnie B, for sort of spending a beta code on me, because I am horrible at this game. It's just awful. I was playing, so again, it's like a 5v5 Overwatch style Counter-Strike.
Yeah, hero shooter.
Yeah,
so Overwatch. It's an Overwatch style game.
So you have to go plant a bomb, which they call a spike, and you have to defend it. And one side, and you switch whatever, and you buy through the inline store of how many points, and you spend it on cash and stuff, or weapons and shields and everything. And it was very overwhelming in the tutorial, but like super easy to get.
Yeah, let me pause there. So that you buy things, like, you mean that like in game, so you get into a match and then you get some kills and you get some points, and then in between rounds you can like purchase.
Yeah, so it's
like
kind of
level
like
ups.
That's where my Counter-Strike brain pops in, because you'd have to reload and buy ammo and buy different guns, and you would only get that if you kill people in the match before or plant the bomb successfully or stuff like that, right? So then you're wondering how much to buy, how much to spend, and it's kind of like a betting thing on that round, like, oh, I'm having a good run, so I'm not going to buy as much because I'm doing well, right? And that's kind of in this game where they've had that mechanic to it. It's all great in theory, but I sucked with the bots. The bots on my team were telling me what to do, because I don't think I knew what I was doing, and I don't know the maps at all. So the bots were like, over here, we gotta defend. I'm like, I don't know where you are. So I thought it was just, maybe it's the bots and the artificial intelligence, whatever. So I jumped online, Trevor, and online I am embarrassed. I don't know, whoever was out there and experienced playing on a team with me, again, I am sorry. It's just apologies for me to even be in this game. I am not who I once was. When they
were you good at first person shooters? Start there.
I was good at Counter-Strike. I was really good at Counter-Strike, and me and my buddy used to play it all the time, and we were like, killing it. And no tournaments or anything, but they didn't have tournaments. Well, they did, but tournaments came later. But we really had a good time, and we, again, won a lot of matches. And then I get back into this thing, I'm like, it's like riding a bike. And no, it is not, Trevor.
Yeah, off a cliff.
Off a cliff. It's like me trying to I can do that. I did that as a kid, or rollerblade or skateboard, and I hurt my back, right? This is exactly that experience in video game form. I thought I could get in here, and I got my butt kicked, and that was that. I think I walked out with no kills and no matches won. So again, thanks for the beta code, but
just to knock you down a peg. So what happened is, friend of the show, DJ Ronnie, he listened to the show and he saw how long we went, and he saw how close to the sun we flew, and he's like, we need to bring these guys down a peg.
I think that's what it was. Yes.
So remind you how bad he is at video games.
Horrible.
I certainly I like these games. I think probably the greatest time I had recently was when Apex Legends.
Yeah.
For some reason, that one felt just a bit more fun.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it just feels like I tend to walk up to another character and I'm looking at them, and then I try to shoot them,
Yeah.
and then they just start jumping around, and I'm trying to move, but it basically feels like their hit area is like the size of a pin, and mine is like a billboard, because every time it's like, hey, like I got the jump on them, pew pew, and the next thing I'm dead, and it's just, how did that happen? Like, what happened? Like, I had the jump, I had the shots. Like, what's every time am I this bad at aiming? God, to the point that it's frustrating. It's not even so much just like, I guess I'm bad at this game. Like, it almost defies logic how bad I am and how I get to feel with these games now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, I did not feel good playing it. I felt like I was outclassed at every... And these are all new players on the console space, right? So it's not even like...
Yeah.
Again, everybody's a beta player. They might have played it on the PC or whatever, and they got back in here, but console's a little different. And I thought I could at least get something in, but no, I was outclassed at every corner. So I will not be picking up the full game, but thank you again for the beta experience. It's like when I want to put to bed and be like, this is great for people that love it, but I used to be this kind of player, but I'm not anymore. I'm not there. I'm rusty.
Okay. I'll tell you what, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum.
Okay.
Let's do something a bit more dad-like.
Okay.
I don't want to say that because some dads are awesome at games. So
Right.
let's try the more my speed. Let's try that instead, okay? This
All
is more
right,
of a
yeah.
because I don't want to cast about some dads are awesome at games, so that's unfair. Let's go the opposite. Let's calm things down. Let's pour chamomile tea.
Okay.
Set down the lights a bit.
Put on some light jazz.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's have a little bit of a board game experience. How's that sound?
I think that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. So this is continuing on. The listeners recently may recall that I had started to dip into solo RPGs.
Right.
So I have been D&D adjacent for quite some while. All right. So like there's some huge podcasts that I really adore. The Adventure Zone, Critical Role, Dungeons and Daddies. Like there's these amazing playthroughs.
Right.
And you watch all these gameplays and you start to come. It's like, man, this would be fun to play some Dungeons and Dragons. However, that it's just a far cry from active dad duty.
Yes.
In the sense that every week for 4 hours, I'm going to disappear into this fantasy land while I have kids setting the house on fire.
Right.
There's a big gap there still. It's going to get better as it always does, but at the moment, a little bit hard. But I still had that itch. And the thing that I had started to discover was that there is an entire world of solo RPG games. And there's the whole there's a couple of genres. They can do what's called like roll and write, or like write and play, or adventure mystery, just like card kind of deck builder type stuff. Or there's actually the dice roll one. Now, I had started my journey with one deck dungeon.
Yes.
You
did.
Yeah, I can't. It is fantastic. If anything I'm saying piques your interest, I suggest you look into some playthroughs of people playing with the cards. They're so, like, you as the designer, Jeff, like, you'd appreciate it. They're so cleverly built where with the card, so you choose a hero card, there's a card that's a monster and you attack it, and then when you defeat it, you can either slide it to the left so it becomes another dice. You can slide it below so it becomes a skill, or the right where there's experience points to level you up.
That's cool.
And the interconnectivity of it, like itself, becomes this kind of nice, like fun, kind of almost like Lego type of thing. Like it's incredibly well designed. So
Nice.
again, I continue to go back to that one. Love it. It's great. Another one, when asked, people in the know will always say, okay, well, what's the best solo dice rolling, RPGs to play or games to play? And one that comes up consistently is something called Under Falling Skies.
Okay.
So I was able to find a copy. And the way to think about this, it's almost like XCOM. It's a dice rolling game that kind of merges XCOM with Invaders.
Oh, okay.
That's a bit of a twist. So this isn't. So it's not high fantasy. So
No,
what this
no.
is that you are a coordinator, kind of like XCOM, in that you're trying to defend the world from otherworldly attackers.
Yeah.
And there is a mothership that is descending and sending attack drones down to kill you. And the entire time you're trying to coordinate some attacks. You're trying to do research so that you can ultimately defeat the boss, or defeat them and like repel them. You're trying to like avoid damage. You're trying to unlock like new skills. Like it's fantastic. It's all about dice roll.
Cool. Like, again, I like the game XCOM, and just like, again, being the commander of like, you have to do defend, attack, and other scenarios. So that's an interesting hybrid where there's like Space Invaders XCOM, because I can see it on screen and it's exactly how you're kind of made that out to be. So that's
a
cool
and
twist.
where the fun interplay comes is that so you I won't get into too much details. It's gonna be hard to describe visually. I do say if anything I'm saying is interesting, go to YouTube, watch a playthrough of it to try to expand to get a sense of it. But you roll dice. There's all of these different rooms that do different things. There's 5 columns. You have 5 dice. You roll them. You have to place a dice in each column. If you place, I want to do this type of attack, but I don't have enough energy. So there's this energy room. And if I put dice in those 2 columns, then, I can get some energy. However, every column that you put dice in, you have to move an enemy ship down that many.
Oh,
and if it reaches your base, you get attacked. You are just sitting there by yourself. But I'm telling you, like, some turns took me like 5 to 10 minutes to kind of sort through. It's like, okay, if I put it here, he'll come down for the enemy ship, but he'll be on an attack space. But if I put the energy here, that's enough that I can do the attack and he'll die. But then this guy comes. And so you're doing all of this management. And every time it's going to be a little different because it's by the dice roll. Now, some of the modern... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, it's as you were talking about it, like, again, with the strategy and puzzle nature to it. Do you ever think, like, in retirement, where they're like, oh, you need to keep your brain busy, and they get out, like, Uno. And you take out this game, and you're like, well, hold on.
It's like, wow, you're fit to get back to work. Get out of this retirement home, you.
Exactly.
It's time for you to manage a military. Let's go.
Got a regular genius over here. Look at this, saving the world. Anyway, that's where my mind went to on that. So.
I love it. So there's multiple scenarios. So you can, out of the box, there's like 6 different cities, and it changes like some of the layout for the different powers and things you have to get done. There is a campaign, like an entire campaign. There's actually like a comic book that goes like kind of story by story. So it's leading. Cool. It's basically like a 1-player single campaign, except every mission is like this dice rolling stuff. And everyone's going to be different because, like, if you roll all ones, you're going to continually get screwed because it's not going to work. So you have to, like, manage terrible rolls, right?
Yeah. Okay. Under Falling Skies, that's what this was called?
Yeah.
Readily available? Or is this like a retro game and you're like, I had to go to a garage sale, and the 6th garage sale had it, so...
I was able to pick up a used copy for $20. Okay. Now, I think it sells new, like 40 to 50. So that's Canadian, so that's like 30 American.
Yeah, I do see it here for about 35. So.
Yeah, so and again, I think it's probably on Amazon. Like, you could have it like fairly quickly, so it's readily available. Cool. It was initially it's kind of a great success story. Somebody had just created it and put it up on like something like SoloPlay or soloplay.com or whatever. Like, it basically was a crowd-funded type thing that eventually got purchased. Not even crowd-funded, just somebody built it, put it up on a site where these type of games are available for free to print. And it was so good, it got picked up by a publisher, and it's now become the success.
There are expansions, if you don't know.
There it is.
Just saying, there's DLC for this.
One Deck Dungeon 2, there's One Deck Galaxy. So as opposed to, so instead of like high fantasy, it's like sci-fi type of stuff, and like blasters. So I think I've tapped into a rich vein, and there's something very cathartic about like some evening just sitting down, adult beverage poured, maybe a snack, and just kind of doing some rolls and having that type of offline kind of experience.
Yeah, I will say, just from the gameplay we're seeing and the dice rolling part, if anyone doesn't have a dice roller, we found that a Ribba frame from IKEA, put some felt in that, and it's perfect. It usually just houses all the dice, and you just roll them in there because the kids were rolling them across the table or whatever.
Of course.
But you have like this like $4 frame, right? And you just put a piece of felt in there. And it's perfect. And it's just,
awesome.
it tucks away. And if you have a card game like this, it might even fit in it. And it's a little carrying case. So
That's
just
awesome.
a heads up for anybody that's trying to DIY their little a dice area for themselves.
Good gaming dad tip. I love it. Now this game plays fairly well with 2 players because you just like as a tag team make decisions.
Okay.
One Deck Dungeons specifically has a 1-player and a 2-player mode.
Okay. All right.
So if you're running 2-player mode, like the hero cards like flip, so like their stats are kind of lessened, and then like the points, everything kind of gets like split in a certain way. So it's actually made. So One Deck Dungeon is made for 1 or 2 players. So if you want to play with the kids, like it's certainly available to there as well.
Cool. It's a good recommend. I have the Amazon page up, so summer's coming. They might be playing some board games along.
There you go. If you pull the trigger, you'd have to let me know. Watch some of the playthroughs to get a sense of it. I think you might dig it, especially if you like XCOM.
Yes.
I think this might be your vibe.
Nice.
But watch a playthrough first, and other gaming dads do the same. Hey, do you have gaming recommendations? Would love to hear it. Reach out to us, New Dad Gaming, or at newdadgaming.com. And with that, for the week, let's wrap it up there. As I said, everybody, I cannot thank you enough for the messages, the emails, the tweets, everything else like that. I don't know. Like I don't know. Sometimes you listen to podcasts. I don't know about everyone else here listening. I listen to podcasts a whole lot. It almost feels like they're people in a different world, and they're just kind of like casting it where it's this one-sided conversation. But to be on this side of the microphone and actually to receive a message from somebody who's like, hey, I listened to the thing you put together, and to have a kindness about it is, I'm glowing. Like it's just so fantastic. It's so heartwarming to hear this stuff, to hear these like wonderful stories and ideas and concepts from other people who are out there. So, from the bottom of my heart, and I believe I can speak for Jeff, thank you so much for reaching out to us.
Yes, thanks again.
Yeah, so with that, please do so you can find
Yes.
if you have any,
Continue.
if you would like to do so, you have any ideas for topics, stories, shout outs, great recommendations, games for end of school summer activities, for 1-player deck game or board games. Hey, love to hear all this stuff at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. We do our absolute best to respond to everybody that we hear from. You can definitely get a shout out on the show. If you like the podcast, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks: Google, Spotify, Caster, iTunes, anywhere where you find your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. If you do, what really does help the show, and this really can't be understated, is if you do leave a rating on it, and if you leave a comment. These folks are looking for engagement, and it just boosts the signal and helps us grow the gaming dad community and get it to as many gaming dads as possible. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old.
And just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.